TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Hey gang, welcome in. My name is Scott Webb, and this is In the Batter's Box. Today is September the 25th, and we are down to the last, 5 or 6 games left in Major League Baseball. Hey, Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights, welcome in. Thanks for joining the show. Appreciate it. Nice to see a lot of faces that I recognize, or at least tags of where you're at there on YouTube or Twitter or wherever you're from. So anyway, there's some things I want to talk about that are unrelated to picks today. Picks are getting rough. I made a bet on the Houston Astros today. I like the Houston Astros today. I knew that Alvarez wasn't playing, and I also knew Tucker wasn't playing, but I like the pitching matchup. I thought it was good. Got the lead, and then you make an error, and then it doesn't matter. I lost. So I don't like that. Don't like kind of how that's kind of flows going. And this has been, guys. This has been an up and down week for me. Not in a sense of gambling. I haven't really gambled much at all this whole week. I've been, I live in Florida. I live in basically Tampa, right in Bradenton, right around Tampa. I wouldn't say that I really live in Bradenton. It's more like Sarasota, but Bradenton unincorporated is really what it's called. But that all being said, we got a major storm, and it's going to be a Category 4, I guess now, which is it doesn't matter. I mean, not everybody's going to be worried about that, but it affected me. Put it that way. I wasn't able to, I haven't even looked at football yet. And there's games tomorrow, and you gotta prepare. You gotta get your family safe. You gotta make sure everything's right. And I've spent so many hours doing that stuff and running around and so forth. I just really haven't gambled. So I don't want to pull anybody's leg and try to tell everybody that I've been in rhythm this week, because it's not been that way. It's been not really looking at a whole lot of stuff, trying to keep the guys' service going, where I'm at least providing my data, and it's a little bit working, a little bit not. I mean, I was able to get Webby odds out today and some other stuff, but man, I don't know if you can see it in my face, but I'm tired. But that all being said, nobody cares. I don't care. You've got to work through it, right? You've got to look at what's on the agenda. And what I'm looking at today is we're getting to a point where the favorites are too big of favorites. I mean, that's just what it is. So your value is on the underdogs, and in almost all of these games. That doesn't mean they're going to win, but I mean, that's how I already bet the Astros as an underdog, and it didn't work out. But I would tell you, like the Tampa Bay Rays, Lytle's pitching for the Rays, and I don't know that you guys follow the Rays enough, or even know who their starting pitchers are. Pepio pitches for them, and it's Bradley pitches for them, and you might think, okay, well those guys, they're their better pitchers. Well, it's not true. Lytle is the best pitcher that the Rays have right now. He is a 2-WAR pitcher, and there's the only 2-WAR pitcher that the Rays have. And they're gonna be facing. Let me get my numbers over here. Uh, there we go. Come on. That's what I'm looking for. They're in a position today where they're facing the Tigers. Tigers have been great. They've been on a big run, been winning lots of games. The problem is they got Montero on the mound today. They had Skubal yesterday, and Juan was Skubal yesterday. It was a dogfight, though, right? I mean, Pepio pitched him really well. I think you're going to see the same kind of thing today, except the Rays actually probably have the better pitcher, and I don't think people look at it that way. And then the other thing that I really wanted to focus on, because I've sort of been out of the loop a little bit, when you go and you look at where these teams are in reference to offense, and we'll pull up the offense just for the last 7 days, right? That's the way we look at it. You come down here and you think, well, Detroit's got to be doing great because they're winning a lot of games. Well, Detroit ranks 21st out of 30 teams in offense. So it's really the pitching that's holding them in these games, and then they're getting key hits. And I'm going to tell you, their bullpen has been lights out. Their bullpen's been great, and AJ Hinch has pulled all the right pulleys or whatever, pushed the right buttons, squeezed the right triggers, whatever you want to call it. But he's managed this team to where they need to be at this point. Hasn't cost them any games. He's doing a great job, and he's been there, done that. He's that's what he does, and he's doing great. And when you look at where they are, and then you look at where Tampa Bay is, Tampa Bay's 23rd in offense. So you got 21st in offense against 23rd in offense. So these aren't two offensive juggernauts to begin with. And then you got to start thinking about where are these teams in regards to the pitchers. Well, Lido's probably the better starter, and then the bullpen wise, you're going to be on the Detroit side. So I think this makes sense to be on a first five here with the Tampa Bay Rays, not the full game because you just can't count on the Rays to hit. They've scored only 12 runs in 6 games. Detroit scored 17. So, they're going to score more even though they're only a couple spots higher in terms of offense. So I like the idea that the Rays battle here. And I think you can play this game in the first 5 innings, taking the Rays, and then let the end of the game take care of itself. And if the Tigers win, then Tigers win, but you made a good bet. And I think that's kind of how you play this. Now, some of this stuff is really getting out of hand. You got to stay on it. So Cleveland has Cantillo as the starting pitcher. Well, now you go back and you look at it, and it's Andrew Walters. Well, what does that mean? Well, Andrew Walters is a relief pitcher, so he's not going to pitch more than an inning or two, and he's going to open the game. So my concern here is I don't know. I'm not connected in Cleveland right now to know whether Cantillo is going to come in after that because it matters. Junis, who's pitching for the Reds, he's been flat out great, just flat out dynamite. And he has those streaks where he's really, really good, and he's in one. So I don't want to really bet against him that much. And especially when you start to think about what the price is, where's the price in this game? Cincinnati and Cleveland. Let me open this back up a little bit more. There we go. So Cleveland is minus 140 at circa 145. So we'll call it 143. It's too much. It's too much. Junis is a better pitcher than that. And like if you power rank these teams, Cincinnati is a 495 kind of team, right below 500. The Guardians, they've won 90 games. 90. Well, theoretically, they're going to win 93 games is kind of what my numbers say they're going to win. But Having said that, the truth is the way they're 12 games favorable in sequencing of events. So they're a 500 team too. It's just they've had some advantages go their way that most teams haven't. To the degree in which they got 12 wins out of this, they're not even the best team in their division. The Royals and Tigers are both sort of power ranked, if you want to call it that, above Cleveland. So now you have Cleveland in a relatively even pitching matchup, and Cleveland doesn't hit against the Reds, who don't hit. So you're sitting there, you're going, how do you get to minus 140 on this? Are you sitting here taking that minus or the 90 some wins that you think this team is? And I know that they're battling the Yankees for the number one spot in all of the American League, but that doesn't mean that they're that good of a team. So when you're looking at numbers and odds and stuff, how a team should play is important, because that's how you want to bet against or with them. You don't necessarily bet on a team that's 12 games positive thinking they're going to stay that way, because that usually is going to cycle through, and then they're going to become unlucky at certain times. And, they might go into the playoffs and just lose these games right away. Bing, bing, bing. They got no pitchers. But this is a pretty good matchup, though. I think Cantelou's found something. He's been really good. In this relief pitcher, he's only pitched 7 times. He's pitched 6 innings, seven appearances. He's given up 0 hits. Hasn't given up 1 hit. Now, he's not a big strikeout guy. He's struck out 6 guys, walked 4. So guys have got on base. Stuff-wise, it's pretty good. But it hasn't had a lot to go off of. It's a 122 on the stuff, so it's good stuff. So I'm just going to assume that he's going to go out there and he's going to pitch a couple of scoreless innings. Junis is going to pitch pretty well, and then all of a sudden you got a pitcher's duel. Cantelow comes in, and you don't know what you're going to get. He's pitched good, but I don't know. He's got hit too, and I think the line's too high. So I'm not telling you to go out and bet Cincinnati, but I'm just trying to run through that sequence of events because things are changing. You got the Yankees, who had Cortez pitching today, who sabermetrically speaking is their best pitcher, and now he's not pitching, and they're going to throw Stroman, who is sabermetrically their worst pitcher. So then the numbers come down, but I couldn't get to that number anyway with the Yankees today. But they're going to face a team in Baltimore that they've seen a bunch, and they're going to face Eflin, who pitched for the Rays, who now pitches for the Orioles, who they've seen a bunch. So this is one of those games where you just sit there and go, where's the value? And at 122, the value that I see is, Stroman at home is pretty good, and I would be on the Yankees in that spot. I couldn't get to the number that they were at with Cortez, with the line, because I think it was like 170 or something stupid like that. Whereas it was 140, and this morning it was 147. So at 147, there's no way I could get there. My number on the game was 114 for the Yankees, and now it's 122, but the different pitcher, and I didn't go back and change all of that. But I think that your value there becomes, I get it, it's Stroman, but the reason I bring up Stroman in this case is, and I share this with you guys a lot, but I want to pull this up so that you see it. Go there, Baseball Reference, pull up this game. I don't know if they've fixed their stuff. They're so bad about certain things, but we'll see if they did. There you go, Marcus Stroman. So if you go to his game logs, it's going to tell you he's pitched 28 times as a starting pitcher for the Yankees. He's won 17 of them. 17 and 11. Cortez, for example, if I go back and do the same exercise, and I got to do this a little different way, but if I do the same exercise with Cortez, and I got to pull up the Yankee roster here, and I'll click on him in 1 second. Nestor, there you go, and we go to game logs for this season. He has made 30 starts. He's only won 13 times. He's 13 and 17, and theoretically, statistically, sabermetrically, metric-wise, he's the best pitcher they got. But Stroman is 17 and 11, and he's 13 and 17. Well, Stroman's good at Yankee Stadium. So I tend to think he's going to pitch probably pretty well. He's been knocked out of the starting rotation. This is a spot for him to shine. This is right up his alley. I think he fills this role. I think he does a good job, and I think the Yankees win this one. The other one that I can't figure out, I can't get to. So do you know that the Kansas City Royals, let me pull their offense up for 1 second. The Kansas City Royals, there's 30 teams in Major League Baseball. They are 30th in Major League Baseball, and they're trying to win, getting and making it in playoffs. Well, that's terrible to be the death. And that, but the interesting thing is the team that's in 29th is the Minnesota Twins. This is just god awful to see that. So the White Sox are right in front of those two teams. Holy crap. That's terrible baseball. So anyway, the Kansas City Royals in the last 5 games, and you realize that yesterday they scored 1 run and won 1-0, and the 2 days before that they didn't score at all, right? So they've scored 1 run in 3 games, and if you look at all 5 games in the last 7 days, they've scored a total of 4 runs. 4. There is no way, no way you can bet on the Kansas City Royals. And the Kansas City Royals have Lorenzen on the mound. Now, I get it. He's sort of veteran-ish. He was a starter that's done halfway decent when he was with the Tigers. He's pitched for the Royals. He's no good with the Royals. And now he's going to come in and off the disabled list. He hasn't pitched for a month, and they need this win. Well, the Nationals are throwing hers at him, left-handed pitcher, not a great big a dominant kind of guy. But if I go in and I pull up hers stuff for 1 second, I don't know if I have it over there or not. Let me look. I don't think I do. I don't have it over there. Let me look at it over here and tell you that what you're running into here with like there we go. Get out of there. Go Nationals. And I pull up, Nationals. Come on, man, not Diamondbacks, Nationals. So we go there, and I go to Advanced, and his xFIP is 3.88. It's pretty good. Lorenzen is not there. Sierra's a 420, which is average. His FIP number is 316. That's in the top 25% of baseball. This is hers, DJ Hers. His strikeout rate is 10 per 9 innings. He's a big strikeout pitcher, but where he runs into some trouble is he walks guys, doesn't give up home runs. Batting average against is only 194. Whip rate 122. It's hard to get on base with him, and he's a strikeout guy. And what are the Royals doing right now? 100% nothing. And what's that number? That number in this game, Kansas City, is Lorenzen minus 131, 132 on the road, and it was an opener of 115. So people are betting on this game like the Royals are all this, and I get it. They got to win these games, but you can't win games when you score 5 runs or 4 runs in 5 games. And they played the Giants, for God's sakes, and made them look like the Giants were good. And I'm concerned about the Royals because the Royals got to play the Braves next. And if they're not scoring runs, the Braves are hitting. I think the Royals might not make it, but the Twins got to wake up, right? The Twins got to wake up and start winning, because if the Twins don't start winning, they can't. Obviously they can't catch the Royals because they're behind them. So it's all weird the way this is ending. But I think hers is a good play. I mean, hers, you can get him plus 123. So I thought that was one, and I think you can go back out to San Diego now. San Diego still has the possibility to catch the Dodgers, and I say that because you know what the Dodgers' rotation is anymore. I mean, Flaherty and Yamamoto are going to pitch, so they got two guys, and Flack. And off the top of my head, I can't remember the fourth guy, but they only got four guys in their rotation, and you only heard of two of them, and one's going to pitch tonight, but he's not. I mean, I like Flaherty. Don't get me wrong, but Flaherty's a good number two. He's not the guy you want to match up to the other team's ace, and Cease is on the mound for the Padres. And when you look at where the standings are here, you're looking at let me go over here for a second. You've got there we go. I think it's only 2.5 behind, maybe 2 standings. I look at these a lot by the wild card, not the other. Where's the standings? There we go. So if I'm looking at this, they're 2 games behind. And they got Cease tonight against Flaherty. And then who's going to pitch tomorrow? The regular season. What are you doing? There we go. Tomorrow's matchup is Musgrove against Buehler. Look, the Padres can win both of these games and be tied, and they know that. So I think you got to bet Padres tonight with Cease. I mean, the Dodgers know they got to win this game. Their offense has been dynamite. Padres' offense hasn't been bad, but you got such a big pitching edge. I think it's not big. It's better, right? But Cease has his moments. But so you're looking at like Lytle as a dog. We talked about Cincinnati a little bit, and that's sort of up to you on that one. But Hurts as a dog, Cease as a dog. I think these other lines are getting too far out there. And then the only one I thought was short as a favorite was St. Louis. I think that they play Colorado tonight. Neither team cares, but Fetty might. Fetty's in a spot where he's trying to stick around, get big contracts, do different things, and he's only minus 121, and my number was minus 160ish or so. So St. Louis is a much better team, and Gomber's on the mound for the Rockies. So I thought that was probably a spot where, favorite-wise, you had a place to play. I'm trying to do this show a little quicker tonight because I got other crap going on. But the other thing I wanted to bring up, and it's going to be more of a next week problem than a this week problem. So we have this hurricane, and Helene is the name of this hurricane, and it's a bad storm. If you haven't seen it or whatever, it's going to be the largest storm at this longitude this time of year. It's in the top 10% of the biggest storms ever, and at a Category 4 coming in, with the could still get higher than that. And it's going to make landfall tomorrow. I mean, it's not like you got to wait for all this time. It's coming. So it's coming at such force, and where it's coming in at is what they call the panhandle, or there's a term called the Big Bend of Florida, which is that area. It's you got Tallahassee up there, but it's if you're looking at the state of Florida, it'll be to the right or east of Tallahassee. But at the trajectory it's going and the rate of speed that it's going, they're going to have hurricane. Think about this. They're going to have hurricane force winds as far north as Atlanta, Georgia. I live in Florida. I've been through a dozen hurricanes. And I know when they're bad. And, if this was directly coming to me, I wouldn't be here. You wouldn't hear me. I would be, I don't know, some place else. I wouldn't be here. You don't mess with these kind of storms that are this bad. The aftermath is terrible. You're going to be without power for 2 weeks. This is going to be bad. I hope I have power. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm going to get skirted. So I'm going to have here, just so you guys know, I'm going to have 70 to 100 mile an hour winds for roughly, 5 hours. And it's going to skirt me. So skirt meaning it's kind of going up, but it's so wide that I'm going to get those bands that come through, and it's not going to be consistent right on top of you all this time. Whereas when the eye wall and the major storm comes in and it comes right on top of you, you're just, there's nothing you can do. You just sit there and take it until it's gone. But what I'm trying to say is Major League Baseball has a forecast, and they got people that work for them that are forecasters, and they have totally messed this up. The Major League Baseball playoffs start Tuesday of next week, Tuesday. So there's a lot of work to do between now and Tuesday, but there's also a lot of work to do in terms of who gets these slots, because that's not 100% determined. Some of the teams are being able to be placed in, because you don't know where they're going to shake out in terms of how the brackets work out. Well, they postponed the Atlanta Braves Mets game. That is huge when it comes to figuring out who's going to make the playoffs and where they are, because the Braves are really trying to get in, right? So that's that not only for tonight, but they also did it for tomorrow. So Thursday or Wednesday and Thursday's games are canceled. So what they're going to do is they're going to go on Monday and play a doubleheader for these two teams. Well, they theoretically, there's only one scenario that they won't have to play in, because Atlanta would be eliminated. But Atlanta would have to get swept by the Royals, a team that scored 4 runs in 5 games, because that's who they play next. That's what would have to happen. So they're going to play these games on Monday. So think about that. They're going to have to play games on Monday. They're going to have to figure out their pitching, because say let's just say the Mets are in it too. So what if these teams, one of them's not going to make it in? So what are they going to do? Because when you have these two teams that played a doubleheader the day before the playoffs start, what pitchers are you going to use? You got to win those games. Are you going to use your best pitchers and just make it into the playoffs and then pitch whatever you got? How are you going to use your bullpen in a doubleheader before the playoffs start? So those teams are going to be at a significant, and I mean significant, disadvantage on Tuesday with whoever they play. You can sit here and think that the Padres and the Brewers, right, are probably going to be the other two teams. Man, they're going to be in the catbird seat. Sitting there going, man, I can take on these teams. They're all struggling to just field a team of pitching and have enough guys to do stuff and, put a playoff roster together after coming off a doubleheader. So I think that there's a Major League Baseball should have done something where, today's Wednesday. They all played yesterday, and only a handful of teams played on Monday. Well, they knew this storm was out there. I mean, I get it. Sometimes you don't know the size and breadth and all this stuff and where it's actually going and all that stuff with a hurricane. So, maybe it was too early. But man, they could have done some stuff to try to get these games in and move some stuff around, and so that you don't have to have this disadvantage on Monday to Tuesday in a playoff game, or start of a playoff series. Because if you're set up poorly at the beginning, you're going to have to overcome a lot just to make it right, on the end. Now, I was asked earlier today about 2 games, so I can kind of respond to what I said in those spots. And one of them, if I'm trying to pull up the tweet here that I got, and if I can get there, I'll be better off. Let's see. Mr. Jenkins, I'm trying to find my tweet to you, but I think I can do it by memory. I'll be all right. So the question that was asked of me was Chicago. Well, that game's probably already started by now. But the Chicago and Philadelphia game, the question is where do you want to go, and what do you want to do with, like, Philadelphia? Well, my opinion on that game is that Assad's an average pitcher, and Sanchez is not an average pitcher. He's a good pitcher. Not only good, but he's in the top 15 pitchers of all Major League Baseball. And not only that, when he pitches at home, he's an SOPS plus of 54. So he's 46% better than average pitcher. So offensively, the Phillies were just a little better. So, the number's bad. You don't want to go pay minus 200, right? So we walked it through, and we came up with the first 5 minus a half a run in that game. And then the other game, which is on a little later, was the Arizona Diamondbacks are playing San Francisco. And this is an interesting game to kind of handicap and break down. Hey, Jay Barry, welcome in. He said, wow, that's a big disadvantage. Oh, there's no question, man. I don't know how fair that is. Like, you play 100, and Major League Baseball does a great job with the structure of their season, because I get it. It's a long ass season, but it's 162 games, and you play everybody. So at the end of the year, if you make the playoffs and you make it in, it's not fluky. Think back to when the COVID year happened, and the Miami Marlins made the playoffs that year. They were in. But that's because they played 50 games, and when you have at the end of 50 games, a lot of things can happen. So you look at kind of where we are and what's going on. That's 1/3 of a season. So I like the idea that Major League Baseball plays that many games to really make the playoffs and the postseason important, and the teams that make it deserve to be there. So when you go then and do all of that for, this thing starts back in late March or early April, right? And then it's going to end in September. So we're talking, what is that, 7 months? So you play baseball for 7 months, and it's going to end in October. So it's going to end up being 8 months. And then you got this kind of a disadvantage to you. I don't know. I think it's terrible. But anyway, getting back to this other game with San Francisco plays Arizona, and Arizona's had their number this year, and Black is pitching Marion Black is pitching for the Giants, and he hasn't been good. I'll say that I think his game score for the season's a 46 or 47, something like that. I got it. I just don't have it in front of me. It is a where is it? There it is. He's a 44. Wasn't even that high. So he's a 44. So here's though kind of what I'm looking at. He pitched earlier in the season. He didn't do well, so they sent him back to the minor leagues. Well, then they have the call-up season, right, which we're in, August 1st call-up. So they call him up. He's made 4 starts. Game score 56. Well, that's pretty good. And then 42-40. Well, that's normal. Well, his last start was a game score 68. It's the best start he's ever had. Now, when a guy like this, who his game score for the season's of 44, throws a game score 68, it's one of two things. Normally, what I would say is that's an outlier performance. Don't think he's going to throw 68 again because that's the only time he's ever done it. Why would you think he's going to do it 2 times in a row? He hasn't shown you that ever before. So that's what I would normally say. My concern with this is now, since he's been called up, he's made 4 starts. 2 of those starts one of them was a game score 56, the other is a 68. So something is different. He's changed something somewhere. He's better than he was. Do I think he's going to go out and throw a 68? I don't. But you got to look at the other side of it. Who's pitching for Arizona? Well, it's Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen, I thought, had found some things, and when I looked at his numbers, his strikeout rate is 11.77 per 9 innings. So he's back to Zach Gallen striking guys out, but his metrics are only average. He's a 3.57 xFIP, a 3.48 SIERA, 4.44 FIP. So that means that there's some underlying issues here that's creating the ability for teams to have some success. So I looked at it and I go, well, his batting average against is 214. That's average, but it's below what, teams are averaging right now, 242. His whip rate's 1.23. That's not bad. Well, all right, let's flip this the other way. We just said Marion Black was not the greatest guy in the world for the Giants. His whip rate's 1.19. So it's pretty good. Well, so as I'm kind of digging through and trying to figure out where this is, it's walks and home runs for him. His walk rate is 3.81 walks per 9 innings. So he doesn't give up much batting average. He's not, a little bit below average. So it's hard to get on base by getting hits. But if he puts you on base, well, what's the and then his home run rate is 1.73 per 9 innings. That's in the worst 25% of baseball. And so you look at this and you go, all right, he's going to strike guys out. He's going to walk guys. He's going to give up a handful of hits. So there's going to be some guys on base. Maybe even at times 2 guys on base. And he gives up home runs. So let's go look at where the Giants are isolated power-wise, because if the Giants offense is hitting home runs and creating damaging blows, then you can't bet on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Even if I gotta find the right one, there it is. Even if he's the better pitcher. So I'm pulling it up. And, San Francisco just beat the crap out of the Royals. But they just played the Padres, too, and beat them. So, they've been playing good teams and are 7-3 in the last 10. So Giants have been good, and they've been good because, we just said the Royals, scored 4 runs in 5 games. The Giants have scored 38 runs in 7 games. So that's pretty good, And then when you look at where they are in isolation, and they rank 7th, by the way, in offense. Arizona ranks 8th. So kind of right neck and neck with each other. But isolated power is what we wanted to see, because if the Giants' isolated power is good, you run a big risk of losing this game. Because if you walk a guy, give a base hit and a dinger, you got 3 runs. And we're down to the nitty gritty here. 3 runs are hard to come by. So I look at this in San Francisco and isolated power, 30 teams in baseball, they rank third. So they've hit 16 home runs in 7 games. So that's like two a game. My advice was in this particular spot, and that question was, I think it's a pass, because I don't think you can play. You can't go look at it and go, well, let's take advantage of the Giants pitcher. Even though I don't think he's going to throw as good as he did before, I think he found something. I think he's going to be halfway decent. And then you walk a guy, give up a base hit, and all of a sudden you got 3 runs disadvantage. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Maybe he doesn't give up any home runs tonight. But the way it's looking, that possibility exists. And that number to bet that game, oh, look, there's the Phillies 4-0 in the first in 3 innings. So that's good. I hope Mr. Jenkins gets that game that he was asking me about. So this game, where is it? Bam, there it is. It's Zach Gallen minus 225 at Circa, 235 at Bookmaker, so it's minus 230. You can't play that, so you play him on the run line, and the run line in this game is where'd they go? They were just right in front of me there. It's minus anywhere from minus 113, minus 115, minus 118, minus 119, in the 1.5 if you want to play it that way. I just don't see it. So anyway, food for thought. Those were, somebody asked me about those things. I appreciated the question. Kind of got my mind off other things there for a little bit. So anyway, guys, look, I've kept you 45 minutes. It's time for you guys to go do what you got to do tonight. So kind of when things are going on, I know Jeff wants me to have me on almost daily for his show, and then me be a guest on his show and talk baseball playoffs, which I'll probably do. And then I'll do some of this stuff at night too. But there's a lot of day games in baseball, so I'm not sure how all that scheduling is going to break out. And I'm trying. It says baseball is more fun to bet than I thought it would be. Jay Barry, you know what? I'm glad you said that. I will tell you that fun is a word to interpret, because when you bet a football game and you got to cover 3 or whatever the number is, and you get up, you're ahead 7, 7-0, and then they go back and forth with the ball, right? And there's a clock, so they go back and forth, and time runs down, and this and that. And you can start playing out. You can start playing things out, and you can see kind of how things are going to happen and what your team needs to do to cover and what your team needs to do to win. And, so you can start thinking things through, and, you can forecast a little bit of what's going to happen. Baseball doesn't work like that. So there are major surprises in baseball, and some of them are self-inflicted wounds. Some of them are just, the guy doesn't have it tonight and he gets bombed. But when you go out there as an offense and you got 3 outs, you can score 7 runs. It doesn't happen every inning, or every game or whatever. But by God, you can do it. And it seems like if you bet on a damn game and you need your team to win, the other team scores the 7 runs in that one inning when you're going, holy crap, right? And then you go back and look at it and you go, how did that happen? Well, it was an error, and it was a wild pitch, and it was this and it was that. But what's fun about baseball is the complication of betting the money line. So all you're doing is picking the winner of the game. That's it. That's what the money line is. You're not covering nothing. You just got to pick the winner of the game. Sounds simple enough. But then we make up, we as sports bettors, we make up our rules. about what games you can bet on and what games you can't because the way the lines work. So if you ran a strategy that basically said, here's 15 games tonight, I'm just going to pick the winners in these games and then bet them. I'm going to bet $50 on each one of them. Well, let's make math easy. Well, I'll bet $10 on each one of them, right? So you bet $150 on the games you thought were going to win. You didn't care what the line was. You just bet them. Well, there's going to be some minus 200s that you played. And there's probably going to be some plus, 150s that you played. And you're going to need some favorability things to happen because you're not going to win them all. Things aren't going to come out in your favor the way you think they are all the time. So a lot of times what will end up happening is you pick these games out and then you might go, let's say 9-6, just picking winners, 9-6. So you're 3 games ahead. But because some of those bets you made were minus 180s and minus 200s that won, and you didn't get any money for winning that. And then you're going to find that you lose even though you won 9 out of 6 bets. So baseball is fun because it's complicated. It's complicated in a sense that you learn a lot. You learn a lot about the money line. You learn a lot about where to bet, what a good underdog looks like, what a good bet looks like, all of that stuff. And then the hardest part about baseball is you're not in control. I mean, I get it. You're not in control when you make a baseball or football bet either, but you're not in control of your emotional fortitude. And sometimes you make so many baseball bets in the course of a season because they play every day that when you win, it almost feels like you got lucky to win all these games because holy shit, when you watch what happens every night, it's like, what am I betting baseball for? But you can make money at baseball. Got to be honest, this season so far, I was up 15 units before the All-Star break. Since the All-Star break, I've lost all 15. I think I'm down like 3 units, 4 units, something like that. So, it's not been the best thing for me. I'm hoping to pull things out the last week. And obviously, then I got a hurricane and crap. But, it is what it is. And then, I've got the whole playoffs to make some money and make some bets. Baseball betting. And so, Jay Berry, if you're still listening, paying attention out there, baseball betting in the playoffs is not the same. So we're going to do some different stuff. We're going to make different bets. We're going to make series bets. We're going to make runs plus hits plus errors over under bets. We're going to do some different things to try to take advantage of the way the baseball in the playoffs work. So in the regular season, they got to make it through 162 games. They got to make it through a stretch of games. So managers need their starting pitcher to throw 90 pitches. I mean, have you ever watched a game where you sit there and go, why didn't he take him out? He's getting killed. He's not 90 pitches. The reason they got to go 90 pitches is because even if he's getting killed, the bullpen is going to get taxed. So then they got to play the next game and the next game and the next game. So they can't do that, right? You just can't. You only have a certain number of guys that can pitch, and their arms fall off. So you've got to get them to a point where, some of this stuff is just kind of like get through this time frame, and then. But that's not the way the playoffs are. As soon as a guy gets in trouble, he's out of the game. 4 innings in, you got a guy on base, and you kind of been a little shaky. You're out of the game. Here comes the bullpen. So it's hard. It's hard to score in the playoffs. Offense doesn't dictate the game. Bullpens are significantly important. Who's available in bullpens is significantly important. Some of these teams that have a major closer, and if he pitches and can't be available in a playoff game the next night, that's a big loss to that team. So we're going to handicap a lot of that kind of stuff and walk through how playoffs work. But yes, I'm so glad you said baseball is a lot more fun than you thought it'd be, because you know what? It's challenging. You can pull your hair out. It can be frustrating. It can drive you nuts, but it can be as enthusiasm and exciting as hell. So I like betting baseball. I played it, done a lot of stuff, and kind of know the ins and outs. And hopefully we're learning a little bit as we go. So anyway, guys, I'm hoping that I have power. I'm seeing what's going to happen. I have a generator, so like I don't do this crap anymore without a generator, man. But it's not a whole house generator. It's a generator that you run cords off of, and I run my refrigerator, lights, fans, do different things. I'll be fine that way. I'm not worried about my safety. It's just pain in the butt. And then maybe if you follow me on Twitter, maybe I'll do it that way. My wife, this is her favorite time of year. Her holiday is like Christmas isn't it. It's Halloween. And I have to build Halloween displays. I have 3 12-foot monsters that I have to put out. I have 6 6-foot monsters. I have 2 fog machines. I have lights, right? I have well, whatever. It's a big display, and all the neighborhood, they all come by all the time and go, "When's it going out? When's it going out?" Right? Well, it goes out Saturday. So I got a lot of stuff going on that way. Once that's gone, then a lot of that stuff. But I'll see if I can't make a video and put some of that on the internet. But I'm hoping that I have power. Other than that, guys, I appreciate everybody coming. We got 90 people on here. We're growing and we keep doing stuff. I mean, I don't know what happened that one day. We had 1,200 or whatever it was. Holy crap! But it is what it is. We're winding down, and unfortunately, I have not had time and been able to do the stuff for football. It just is what it is. Guys in my are paying for stuff. I'm going to try to get through some football stuff. Nowhere for me to go tomorrow. Nowhere's open. So if I have power and I have some stuff, maybe I'll be able to look at some football and maybe get some stuff out. So I might have some plays for the weekend for football for tomorrow. But other than that, I will see how the schedule goes. I'm thinking that I might do a show on Monday because I really kind of will know more about the teams and who they play and sort of what the series matchups looks like, and we can get into some of that. So I'm probably going to do a show on Monday, and then hopefully we can do shows every night of the playoffs, but we'll see. Guys, have a great night. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I appreciate the feedback and the communication. Daniel, Barry, Sports Highlights, thanks. Jay Barry, thank you. Guys, do me the biggest favors and, like and retweet this stuff from whether you're doing it on YouTube or Twitter or Twitch or wherever you're doing this stuff from. We need to get this thing back up to growing again. Football is coming around the corner, so we'll be doing some more football. And follow me on Twitter, guys, and we'll go from there. Have a great night, and I will see you shortly.